Okay, welcome back to the Adventure Within channel. My name is Andrew Fritz. I'm a clairvoyant healer and meditation teacher. And today I'd like to just discuss how I got into spirituality and also talk about the energy system. So it's comprised of energy channels and the seven major chakras. Kind of talk about, what is a chakra and the functions of each of the chakras. And as I go through that process, really highlighting some of the psychic abilities like clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance. So let's just dive right into it. I grew up on the East Coast of the United States, just outside of Philly, and I didn't grow up in a family that was religious or spiritual. The only thing that would be something related to any of that was that the house I grew up in was haunted. Um, and all my family members have had different experiences. Some of us were shared experiences. It was an older house. For me, my experiences were more just feeling something, feeling a presence, but also hearing it incredibly clearly. Like footsteps going from, one doorway to the base of stairs, or from the base of stairs all the way, each step of the way up to all the way to the top where I was. So I had those type of experiences when I was growing up, these paranormal experiences. And then aside from that, I got into astrology a little bit. And then I quickly lost interest in that. And that was pretty much it. And so when I was 21, I moved to Chicago for art school. And it wasn't until the second semester my roommate opened up to me about spirituality. And so he had this card deck, this angel card deck. We'd use that sometimes, or he'd let me borrow it and kind of play with those. He let me borrow this book called You Were the Answer by Michael Tamara. If you haven't read that, that's definitely worth checking out. But while reading that, that's when I had my spiritual awakening, where I realized, oh, wait a second, I'm spirit. I'm not my physical body. And for some people, they might think like, oh, well then you've awakened. Okay, there's nothing more to do. But for me, actually, it was really just the very beginning for me. And as I talk more, you'll start to understand. So that was a really profound experience, and have a lot of appreciation for that book. And he taught me some basic meditation techniques, and I think he went out to this event. I didn't go with him, but he came across this director of a psychic school, and I guess he got his information. And at some point, he says to me, like, "Hey, do you want to go get R readings?" And I'm like, R readings? Like, what is... I don't even know what that is. Never heard of that. And at that point, I was just very open, right? My early 20s. I think I'm, 22 probably by now. So I'm 22, and just, having new experiences. First time living in a city, like downtown. It was very different from where I grew up. And meeting new people, just very open. And I was just like, hey, I don't know what these R readings are all about, but yeah, I'm down. Let's go do this. And so it wasn't far. We just hopped on the train and went north. And we get into the building, and I was kind of led to this small room, and I can't quite remember. So there was at least two people. So there was like a person in front of me where I sat down. They were kind of like the center chair, the main reader. And then there was someone at least off to the side, kind of as a side chair, is what they called it. And they were going to read the 7 layers of my R. And then I had some questions. Each, the R is the energy field around the physical body. And there's each layer corresponds to a different aspect of your life. And I got the reading. It was fun, and they weren't using any outer tools. It's that their eyes, they just went into meditation, and their eyes were closed, and that's it. There was no, we're using tarot cards or crystals or nothing, no outer tools that you would go to a spiritual shop and find, like in Sedona or something like that. None of that. It's just them with their eyes closed, and they're describing these images to me and describing the energy of them as they go through each layer. And then they also talked about, hey, this is what the color of this layer is, and this is what this layer represents. So I had an idea of when they went to read the image and describe it and describe the energy, I knew kind of, oh, this is kind of what it's related to. And that was really helpful. And I was kind of blown away, because I was like, I didn't even realize this was a thing or possible, or, I was like, what is this? And I was just very curious. I was like, well, how how do people do this? And it turns out they were a school. They offered these classes of, meditation classes and these clairvoyant trainings and advanced psychic trainings. And my roommate, he's been doing this a little longer than I have, with meditation and some of the energy work. And this is something he was wanting to do for a long time, and do the clairvoyant training. And so I just knew I was in the right place, right time. I had to sign up. I didn't know why. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I intuitively knew, like, yeah, this is it. I got to do this. And it was kind of cool to have, a friend that was going to go sign up for the same thing. We're going to go through this together. Because we ended up, when we got out of living in the dorms, we all kind of got an apartment together. And so we're living together, going through this training together. It was really cool. But throughout this, a clairvoyant training. So the focus is on developing your 6th chakra ability, your clairvoyance, clear seeing. We'll talk more about that later. But there'd be essentially 1 class per week for a year. And we discuss different clairvoyant topics. And then throughout the week, you could show up to these reading sessions where, you're encouraged to do, I think it was 2 every week. I would show up to all of them because I loved it, because it was healing, and it was really profound, because I learned so much about myself through reading other people, and getting the hello from other people. And that sounds kind of strange. Like, how do you learn about yourself reading other people? You got to think we're all mirrors, right? So when you're essentially looking at a mirror at another person, you see certain things within them, especially positive qualities. Oh, you too have those qualities within yourself. Or if you see, in this case, we're learning to give our readings in these reading sessions. And, there just seems like this great limitation, this big blockage here. And you're going to go, as a reader, you're kind of going, oh, this seems really familiar, actually. Kind of feel like I'm reading myself. And you just have a match. And the cool thing with clairvoyance is that you can identify the block as you read the other person. And you can kind of take a look at, okay, there's the block. I don't want to dwell on this. We all are, we tend to know where we're stuck, right? It doesn't feel that great, where your energy's stuck. And you look at the next step. Okay, well, how do I move forward? And then what changes? This is kind of the inspiring part of if you follow through, taking your next step, you work through the blockage. What's on the other side of that? What changes? What do you get to have? That's usually very inspiring to learn about that, to see that or hear that or whatever it might be. So yeah, I would show up to all these reading sessions as much as possible, where I was receiving a reading or a lot of times giving readings, and initially kind of starting out as a side chair where I'm not in charge of the reading. I'm just in there, and I'm just working my basic meditation tools, really just to stay conscious at first. Because, if you're watching this, you're probably interested in meditation. I imagine you probably have meditated. And so you've probably experienced where, there's all these thoughts that pop up and distractions, and sometimes you hit unconsciousness and you're kind of half, asleep, half awake, drooling sometimes. And so it takes a little time to kind of get used to turning within and staying conscious and aware. And that was kind of what was happening in these reading sessions. There's a lot going on energetically, and it's different. It's not the normal thing kind of in your day-to-day life type thing. You're kind of really centering yourself and going a little deeper. And anyway, so you're just staying conscious and staying grounded, staying present, running your energy and all that. And after a while, you become the center chair. You become the one in charge of the reading, and you're giving these readings. So it's a lot of fun. I'll talk about the clairvoyance kind of later, but I'm just kind of talking about how I got into spirituality and some of the trainings I took. So while I was taking this year-long clairvoyant training in Chicago, I was taking advanced meditation class. You learn things like connecting with your higher self in that particular class, or connecting with Great Spirit or Source, whatever you want to call it. Learning about energy healing. Took energy healing level 1 and level 2. And that's really fun, where you're working with healing guides, connecting with them, different types of healing guides, and at first you're not even physically touching the person. You're just kind of, and it looks kind of weird at first. For me, it felt very unreal until I kind of cleared through some energy, and it became much more real, and I really enjoyed and was excited to receive healings and give healings. But it's kind of funny because you kind of walk into a room and everyone's just kind of waving their hands around, and it looks a little strange at first, but then it becomes actually quite normal. But the energy healings are pretty awesome, whether you're on the receiving or the giving end. And so I was doing that and doing like the Kundalini series. That's a lot of fun. Learning how to what is Kundalini and how do you turn it on and how do you run it? How do you turn it off? A lot of times, and this is kind of, there's different ways to turn it on. This is more kind of through visual meditation, through clairvoyance. In a lot of cases, you might not, people teach you how to turn it on, but they don't teach you how to turn it off. And so sometimes that's, with an energy like that can be kind of charged, and so it can be kind of difficult to go to sleep if you're all charged up. So it's nice to learn how to turn it off, turn it on and off. So so just taking all these different classes. So the year-long training ends, and typically my pattern, everyone was different. Students that would take training. Some people would do training back to back to back to back to backs, and for me, I don't know why, but it was I'd take a training and then I would disappear and go travel and live life for a while and just have new experiences. And then when I felt ready, and okay, bam, I'm coming back and taking another training, and eventually took a 6-month men's clairvoyant training, going over just clairvoyant topics for men. How to ground as a man and run your masculine energy and getting in touch with your personal power and so on. It was really fun. It was really validating and empowering. So I took that. I took, what else? I think I took that's training at least almost like twice. And then I did it's called spiritual autonomy. So basically learning to get your space with dying. And I know that sounds kind of crazy or scary, and I was quite excited. And I've always been fascinated with death. Not that it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to jump off a bridge and physically my body perish, nothing like that, but just, spiritually, just very intrigued about death and dying and letting go, basically. That was really learning to consciously step out of this lifetime. And that's an exciting training. So I went through that. And what else did I take? I took a teacher training. But the thing was, I already, actually, I'll back up. Before that, I took before the teacher training was an astral body training. I only took maybe like half of that. That's really fun because you're learning. So the astral body is kind of a duplicate of the physical, and it's your energy body involved in the dream state. And so basically, you're learning. It was a really fun training where we'd be in a small room and on a massage table, and all the healers would be surrounding the healee who's on the massage table. And we'd be lifting the astral body out of the physical body and doing the healing work, where the physical and astral bodies are out of sync, doing the healing work to the astral body, and eventually resyncing them kind of back up. And so doing that healing work, if you're in that training, it was receiving the healings, giving the healings, and so the healings were pretty profound because they would could help with sleep quality. It could help with it's not just about what happens when your body's at rest at night. It's also in the waking state, you might be a little more present, a little more clarity, so to speak, as well. But yeah, it can really boost your dream recall, excuse me. And what I find is the more dreams you can remember, that will lead to lucid dreaming. So at that one, I took a couple months of that. But yeah, I took a teacher training. But the funny thing was I started teaching, I think, in 2009. So I was already teaching on my own before I actually took a proper teacher training. And that sometimes that happened for me. I knew how to give astral body healings before I even took the training. I remember giving an astral body healing. This was in Chicago to my friend, the friend that actually got me into spirituality, my roommate in college. And I gave a healing to him, and that's later that night I ended up having my first kind of real conscious out-of-body experience. So yeah, I've been through numerous trainings over the years. I'm currently in a 5-year-long transmedium healer training, and I think I've got maybe like a year to go in that. That's a really awesome awesome training. So transmediumship is really just the ability to step out of the body pretty effortlessly, and we do a lot of pretty amazing healing work in that. So I'm excited to, there's a lot more to grow and learn from in that training. And eventually, once that's done, I'll kind of already have a curriculum set up for that, and we'll teach that eventually, that training. Okay, so that's just kind of a background of kind of how I got into this and some of the trainings that I took. So let's get into the energy system. So the energy system, it's comprised of energy channels in the body and chakras. And so we can start with some of the minor chakras. So that would be like your feet chakra. Excuse me. And your feet chakra, they're kind of pointed down. So if your feet are flat in the floor, these are, it could be almost like fun way to kind of imagine them as like small ice cream cones, where the pointed end is kind of rooted in the foot, and the open end of that ice cream cone faces downwards towards the floor and the ground. And, with these, this is where we start to learn to pull in earth energy of the earth. And as you maybe experience, when you go into nature or just out for a walk or a hike or on the beach or in the mountains, wherever it is, whatever you have affinity with, it tends to be healing. That's like why we like to take breaks and just step out and just be in nature. It's healing. And so with this type of energy work, you learn to consciously run. You could be in the city and there's it's all concrete and noise and everything around you, but you can learn to turn within and meditate and consciously run earth energy through your energy system. Not just earth energy, but earth and cosmic energy, which is pretty cool. But that involves the feet chakra and pulling the earth energy up. So I would just kind of refer to these as kind of like minor chakras, if you will. And there's, many chakras in the body, out of the body. But so that's the feet chakra. The next one we can kind of go to is just like your first chakra. So this is, I would say, one of the major chakras in the body, close to the base of your spine, and all to do with safety and survival, self-preservation, basic needs of life, food, shelter, clothing, and all that. Related to Kundalini, like I mentioned earlier, vitality. So that's your first chakra, providing for yourself, money, providing for others, and all that. That would be your first chakra. And so if you can almost imagine kind of in the spinal column like a ladder as we go to the next rung up, going inwards and upwards. So just below you, like the navel area, that would be your second chakra. So this is your emotional center, so sensuality, sexuality, but also the psychic ability clairsentience. So clear feeling. And this is really kind of what you're feeling, the energy that you're feeling. And it's as simple as, you walk in, and I'd say this ability, most people can relate to this. They're just not going to call it psychic. But it is. It's a psychic ability. It's a soul ability. It's just the word psychic has a lot of charge on it, just like the word God. And there's a lot of charge around that. That's all. We just tend to misinterpret what it is or misunderstand it, but it's just of or pertaining to the soul is psychic. So clairsentient, psychic ability here. And so an example, you walk into a room, and the room could be empty. And you walk in and, wow, yeah, I really like the vibe of this room. Or you walk into a different room that's empty and, whoa, that feels really just kind of dark and heavy, and I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not feeling this. Not at all. Actually, I want to get out of here. I'm sure we've all experienced that, whether it was, somewhere in the public, whether it was indoors or outdoors, or you're over at a friend's house when you're young and there's this one room, or even just the whole house. Sometimes the whole house, you're just like, good God, just get me out of here. I'm not feeling this. So that can happen. And then, people, you can walk into a space and there's one person, and wow. Why am I feeling all this anger? Oh, the person I'm standing in front of, they're pissed. You can feel that. Yeah, typically with anger, once you sense someone's angry, you tend to want to give them some space, if you've been in the cities and you've had someone if you're walking down the sidewalk and someone's screaming and yelling and they're just kind of, you could tell they're kind of angry and pissed off. What do? You kind of move off to the side because I don't know what this person's going to do, but they're angry and I'm going to give them a little bit of space. Anger tends to do that, creates a little bit of space. So that's you can pick up on that on a feeling second chakra level. And sometimes you walk in and wow, there's a person there and wow, they're really enthusiastic. Their energy's a little higher. Yeah, I like this. This is great. I feel that. And sometimes you walk in and it's a group, and you can kind of feel the vibe of that group. Just feeling what the energy is. We tend to notice it a lot when we're having new experiences, whether it's a first date, or you're in a job interview. So different meetings when you're meeting new people, or you go to a brand new place, or you're on vacation somewhere new. You're feeling the energy. So that's that gut feeling, that second chakra ability. And there's a different type of feeling, and we'll get to that as we move up. So that's the second chakra. Moving up into the solar plexus where the rib cage meets. So that's your third chakra. That's your power center, your energy distribution center. So it could be related to your willpower, masculine energy, feminine energy. There's some of the qualities of ego will definitely show up here, like competition and effort and things like that. But your relationship to your dream space, you have a connection, people call that like the silver cord, that connection to your astral body. That's here. So there's a lot going on here with that third chakra. And so the lower three chakras have a lot to do with your day-to-day and just your physical body. So the first chakra, your safety and grounding and providing for yourself and others, perhaps different, energies that you're picking up on a feeling level and emotions. And then just kind of your third chakra is really about just your doing and taking action and all that. So our focus and energy tends to be kind of in these lower chakras, kind of in our day-to-day. As we start to move inwards, upwards, we're getting more to the spirit of you, kind of where spirit or soul meets body. And that starts with the heart chakra, kind of associated with your thymus gland. This is that center of oneness. So this is relationships, and particularly relationships with people that you love or have affinity with. So close friends and family members, your significant other or partner. So that will be here. They'll connect with you via energy cords in your heart, the heart chakra. And so the heart chakra, it's definitely, there's a part of you called your feeling self. The heart chakra is related to your physical heart, and there's an aspect of your being that's incredibly sensitive but very powerful that resides in the physical heart. And so, feeling definitely comes up at the heart chakra level. But the second chakra is more like, here's just what I feel, and that's that. I walk into a space, or I walk and I'm around this person or group of people or whatever it is, and here's the energy that I'm feeling. Versus the heart chakra, it's well, how do you feel about your relationship to this person or that thing or whatever it is? So it's in relation, basically. So how you're feeling in relation. So that's the heart chakra. So kindness and compassion and it's just your relationship space, a sense of community. All those type of energies will show up here at the heart chakra level. And then moving up, so the fifth chakra is related to communication. So abilities like telepathy and clairaudience, your ability to express yourself creatively or clearly and with confidence, or express your wisdom. That's all here. Telepathy, not going to dive into that one, but it's just sending and receiving thoughts. But clairaudience, clear hearing, that's one of the other clairs. And this is kind of a fun one because, you're hearing well in general, but you're also hearing energy kind of as a sound wave or a frequency where it can be kind of like wom, 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 wom. Like that could be one example of, so I'm hearing the energy vibrating, whatever I'm tuning into. It can be like that. Also, you can really communicate with, as long as the being that doesn't have a body, knows how to communicate with you in this particular way, like spirit guides typically. Because I'd say like traditional spirit guides usually have had past lives, and you have an agreement with them because they have certain information or abilities that can help you in this particular lifetime. And so they can communicate with you in different ways, but here's one way where you can actually hear them. And so that's that. And the fun thing with clairaudience, if you're into music or you actually yourself are an artist or a musician, when we get to clairvoyance, it's all about the visual aspect, where this is kind of the hearing aspect. And so if you're a musician, perhaps maybe you've experienced this where it's like having like a little studio within yourself, just the way like on a laptop or a computer you have a program where you can it's all programmed in, and you can make I can take these drum beats and make a drum beat sound, or add a guitar, or record the guitar, put it in, and you can kind of layer it all together and form a song. And you can do that all within yourself using this ability, clairaudience. So you could sit here and just boom, 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 and you can actually hear that dun 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 dun, like within yourself, not physically, but you can hear this, and okay, here's this bass line. Okay, cool. And then you have that, and that can be an inspiration to, okay, this is how I want this to be in the song, or to start things off. And it can get really as kind of detailed as where you can, okay, now I hear a beat, or like drums or something like that, and you can hear that, and you can hear that simultaneously with the bass. And you can do this within yourself, like this own kind of internal studio, if you will. And you can layer it so you have this whole song playing out in your, within yourself. And so it is very much like that. And so it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of creativity there. So, and yeah, feel free to comment if you're like, oh wow, yeah, I wasn't sure if I was the only one that experienced that, but yeah, you can create a whole song before you actually physically pick up one instrument or multiple instruments. You hear it all right here, and it's just the way like film directors, before they even start storyboarding or writing a script or or whatever, they can start to see with their mind's eye different scenes. And I'm sure you talk to any film director, they'd probably be like, yeah, that resonates with me. So yeah, let's move on to the next one then. So that was the 5th chakra. Actually, before we get to the 6th chakra, let's sidestep here. Some of your other minor chakras would be your hand chakras. So these are your healing centers, giving and receiving healing, typically where your guides, such as like healing guides, would plug into. And I mentioned I took those energy healing classes. This is where I learned about that. But yeah, this is just giving and receiving healing. And you have your personal healing energy here that you don't necessarily have to give away. There's another way of going about giving healings. And there's many different types of way of giving healings, but in this particular way, yeah, you don't have to really give away your personal healing energy. So those are the hand chakras. Okay, so finally, the 6th chakra. This is one of my favorites here. Just clear seeing. You're seeing clearly and with neutrality, so not judgment. It's not looking at something, and I'll get into what you're looking at, but it's not about being in judgment. It's not, hey, this is good, or this is bad, or this is right, or this is wrong. It just is. You just see it. If you're giving a reading to someone, or even just reading yourself, nobody wants to be judged, right? That doesn't feel good. Or why would you want to judge yourself? So you just see it, like you're just observing it, witnessing it. And if you need to communicate to someone, well, you can describe it to them. And just describe it as it is. You don't need to add anything else to it. Just, I see it, and here it is. And at the end of it, you get a kind of this is the general energy of what's happening here in this particular image that I'm looking at. And so they say an image is worth a thousand words. You can get a lot of information. There's some truth to that. You can get a lot out of just looking at one simple image. And so this is kind of goes to what can a clairvoyant see? Well, you can see colors. You can see symbols. And you can see full-on mental image pictures. And for me, it's I definitely see color, but usually see the images quite often. Depends on how I'm working, what I'm doing. Sometimes it's just really the focus is just color. But with clairvoyance, I'm mainly focused on the mental image pictures. So it's clear seeing clearly. And well, you want to see what? You can see your truth. That's really the name of the game here. And the funny thing is, in that process, is that this is when I was going through that clairvoyant training, which was happening, is that everything in between you and your truth, being able to see it, and just that's in between it in general, all that's going to come up. All the junk mail is going to come up. All these lies and illusions, and they'll pop up, and you'll become aware of them, and okay, going to dissolve that or let it go, and you just get closer and closer to seeing your truth. And the cool thing with seeing your truth, finally you get to, okay, here it is, and it's like, wow, this resonates so deeply now that I'm seeing this is great, and you see it over and over clearly. When you see it so many times, you get to a point where you're just certain, that's my truth. And so when you reach a state of certainty with your energy and your essence and your truth and all that, anytime you encounter another energy, then it's much easier. Now that you have certainty about, hey, this is my energy, now I can start to differentiate. Oh, well, I already know my energy. Oh, here's this other energy. I'm not sure. What is this? And then you just kind of know, oh, well, that's not my energy. And so it's easier to kind of, then when you're able to clearly differentiate, you have so much certainty, you can clearly differentiate, hey, this is me, this is not me. And then you start to develop seniority, that your energy becomes number one. Your energy starts to set the tone. Oh, wow. And what happens, we can be running off of other people's energy and information in our different chakras. And that sets the tone with how you communicate, how you see things, how you see yourself or the world or people or whatever, how you provide for yourself, how you go about doing things, all sorts of stuff. And the fun thing with clairvoyance, you can start to look at that and start kind of, you're deprogramming yourself. You're saying, okay, I want to weed that stuff out, and I want to I want my energy to run in my chakras. I want to run on my energy and information. And when you start to do that, you start to gain seniority, and your energy starts to set the tone. You're choosing your energy. And then, over time, your reality starts to shift. So then what is your life, even just one aspect of your life? If one aspect of your life starts to change in a way that's very authentic to you, as a being in your energy in this life, what does that look like? That's a huge, grand slam. That's a huge win. That's amazing. And just imagine, another aspect of your life, or what all of the different layers of your aura. What if you're totally, total seniority, where you're running on your energy setting the tone for your whole life here? What does that even look like? And so if you could become aware of what that looks like, that is incredibly inspiring. You're like, hell yeah, I want that. How do I get that? And I find that the path of the clairvoyant, that's a way to get there. And why I have such a great affinity for it, because it's been so helpful to me and helpful to the people that I've taught. So that's clairvoyance. Like kind of how I was talking with the clairaudience and kind of musicians, and how they can kind of play with that. They might not even be aware of clairaudience or anything like that, or aware of what's happening. But if they start to, wait a second, that's the clairaudience, and you have like this internal, music studio that's happening here and within yourself. They might go, yeah, okay, I can relate to it. I've experienced this before. I didn't really think about it too much. With clairvoyance, it's that visual level where, like film directors and visual artists, where they can see things that aren't physically there. They can see the image in their mind, and okay, that's the thing that I want to that I want to create. That's really how it all begins, right? You you got to be able to see it clearly, be able to imagine the thing, right? If you're not imagining it, then how do you unfold that into the world? How do you manifest that, right? So that's the visual level there. That's the clairvoyance. And then finally at the top of the head, the crown chakra, your seventh chakra. So your transmediumship ability. So that's, again, it's your ability to step out of your body pretty easily, just no effort. And you could go and explore. That could be one thing. Explore the astral. So there's that, and then there's also the channeling of, different energies, and even channeling beings that don't have physical bodies. And that's a wild ride. And for me, in the training that I'm involved in, and with the transmediumship, it's incredibly healing. That's what I would just say. Like the healings, you learn these transmedium healings even before you start to work with beings is pretty amazing. And they're very non-effort. And then you start to introduce beings, and it's really learning to get out of the way. Sometimes we want to control things, and we're afraid or whatever it is, and you start to take a step back, and you kind of get to, you're still in charge. You're not giving up your seniority, but you get to watch the show, and you get to learn and see things that maybe you weren't aware of before. Of, this healing technique that this entity that you're channeling, and wow, this is pretty awesome. I'm going to take some spiritual notes. So it's pretty incredible. But the claircognizance, the clear knowing, your knowingness or intuitive knowingness, once we hit the crown chakra, this is getting your connection to your higher self and connection to Great Spirit or Source. And so your higher intuition, and to get there, sometimes there needs to be some level of certainty in spirit or certainty in the divine. You can have certainty in a lot of different things, but certainty in what is infinite, right? Spirit. And so certainty, I find, enhances your your communication with your higher self. And you're getting in touch with your higher self, and that's an interesting time then. And that your answers and information that's not outside of yourself, right? What is the biggest cause of suffering is that we're unconscious. And unconscious to what? We're unconscious to that what we're seeking is already within us, not outside of ourselves. So a great deal of unconsciousness to the eighth chakra and the higher aspect that resides there, and that our answers or truth or information are all within us, not outside. And so you wake up, on the spiritual path, you wake up more and more to that. That becomes much more real. And when you really heal this connection, really with your whole soul totality, there's a feeling part of you, and then there's a reasoning part of you, and then the higher self. But once you kind of really heal any division between these aspects of you, and really get to be in touch with that higher part of you, wow, life can start to change in a beautiful way. Initially, it could be kind of scary, because if you're used to following a path of the way of the analytical mind or ego or programming, right? It will keep you safe, and it's the safe bet, and maybe some fleeting happiness, and other people might support that. But as you go down that road, you start to realize it's very unfulfilling. It's kind of an external consciousness that you're following. Therefore, you're just going to get the lower emotions and some fleeting happiness, and you really just ultimately end up disappointed and angry and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure we've all been there. So, and then it's starting to wake up, and there's this other thing. There's this following getting into alignment with your higher self, the part of you that, of course, if you get in touch with the higher part of you that has your blueprint or mission statement, kind of the why for this lifetime, of course, when you get in touch with that part, and that takes some courage and some certainty and some trust, where you can actually follow through and take steps. You're listening to that higher part of you, and okay, I'm going to take these steps. And it's scary at first because you're walking into the unknown. You might have a sense of where you're headed, but all the little details and the how and the when and all that, you don't necessarily always have that information. It's a huge trust game, and that's challenging, right? Then it really gets down to the nitty gritty of how much certainty and trust you have in spirit, right? But that's ultimately where you're getting in touch with yourself. You're getting in touch with the qualities of spirit, which, the joy and that sense of fulfillment. So it could be a scary transition. It could be kind of a scary, but it's adventurous, right? An adventure. There's these unknowns and ups and downs and challenges, and you feel stronger on the other end of it, and it's very rewarding. And if you're wanting to live a more authentic life and live your truth, you have to step away from that path of programming and get to that path of being in alignment to your higher self. And that's, really healing kind of your relationship with the different aspects of you as a soul. So much so that you get to a place where, okay, like I can follow, because it's one thing to listen to the higher intuition and, hey, I'm getting an intuitive hit, right? You've probably something as simple as you're driving, you just have a knowing that, I need to drive left here, but you just keep driving straight, and then you end up, you get stuck in traffic because there's a car wreck, and you're like, oh man, wait, I think I just had some knowing that I was supposed to go left, totally ignored that. Darn, I should have listened to myself. How many times have you heard yourself do that? Whether it was in that type of example, whether it's traffic or driving or something else, whether it was in a relationship or a job or whatever, some fork in the road type situation. And so the idea is, okay, well, it's starting to pay attention to that, but not just listen to that. You want to start to get some trust. It takes some trust, so much so that you actually act and follow through on the intuition. I got this information. Where's this coming from? You're in communication with your higher self. And can you trust that part of you? The part of you that is not limited to this lifetime. But the part of you that... Here's another way of looking at it. Say you're in the woods, right? And you're lost. You've been walking around the woods, and you get to a point where you're like, oh God, I am totally lost right now. I have no idea where I'm going. It would be nice if there was someone with a bird's eye view that could see the whole thing. They could see where you started, kind of where you're at, and I can easily, from up here, if we had radios, I could easily navigate you from where you're at and get you out, and you're good to go. Not a problem. You just got to trust me. So it can be like that with your higher self. It has the big picture, and it has that perspective, and that it is very neutral. And that's the tough thing with this, is that the ego mind, it's very loud and noisy. You have to learn to become aware of it and management and then the intuition with your higher self and all that, the voice of that, it's very it tends to be more quiet. So it's learning to okay, let's dial this down, all this loud noise, and that's what meditation's all about, and getting to a comfortable, still place where you can really get in touch with your higher self and get some answers and information, and act on that. And that takes some time to kind of go, okay, finally, sometimes you go through walking down the wrong way, so to speak, and you're just like, okay, I don't want to do this again. This is not working. I'm just going to trust my higher self and go with this. And I find that tend to be pleasantly surprised. Yes, it can be challenging and scary at times, but in the end, fulfilling. And that's the important thing, is that sense of, hey, okay, I feel fulfilled or content here, at peace with myself. This is what I've been looking for. And so that's the 7 major chakras in the physical body. So with that said, when it comes to psychic abilities, I think a great first step is learning to get your body safe. If you don't feel safe, it's sometimes challenging to really open up and explore these type of things. So I'd like to just lead a quick meditation on getting grounded. So if you've made it this far in the video, awesome. If you're in the right place, don't do this if you're driving, but go ahead and maybe just get it in a comfortable seat or chair or couch and place your feet flat on the floor. And would you go ahead and close your eyes? And a great way to start off a meditation is just start to notice, where is your attention? And there's nothing you really have to do, except would you just notice, where is your attention? And it could be anywhere. But typically where your attention is where you are in spirit. Are you far from your physical body? Are you close to it? Are you in some part of your physical body? Where are you at? And wherever you start to notice yourself at, just allow yourself to be there. And from that space, so to speak, would you say hello to your physical body? Your physical body is always in present time. But just say hello to your physical body. And would you follow that hello? Would you start to bring your attention more to your physical body? And would you bring your attention behind your eyes all the way to the center of your head? Would you be in the center of your head? And take a big deep breath in. Exhale. And just for a moment, notice what it's like to be in the center of your head. Is it any different from where you started, even if it's subtle? But from the center of your head, I'd like you to say hello to the base of your spine. Close to it is that first chakra, your safety survival center that I mentioned earlier. And just notice your first chakra. You might sense it in different ways, perceive it in different ways. Maybe you feel it in some way, or maybe you can hear it spinning or see it, or you just know it to be there. However you become aware of your first chakra is totally fine. There's no right or wrong here. We're having fun, we're exploring. And if you've ever been shopping, in a store like a Walmart or something like that, sometimes they have these pool noodles. You ever seen those pool noodles? I think you toss them in the pool and you can kind of just put your arms around it, or even kind of sit on it. It just kind of helps you stay afloat. And there's different color pool noodles. But I want you to just take a moment and meditate on your favorite color. And let's stick between brown and gold. If your favorite color happens to be like white or silver or black, let's choose a different color just for the sake of this exercise. There's nothing wrong with you having an affinity for those colors or energies. And once you have your kind of favorite color in mind, I want you to imagine with that color, draw a line of energy that starts from your first chakra, almost as if it's like you're imagining a pole noodle. That's your favorite color. It connects into your first chakra close to the base of your spine, and just let that pole noodle like start to grow beneath your body, going and rooting into the earth below you. And would you just playfully imagine that that pole noodle, let it go all the way down to the center or the core of the earth. So essentially your favorite color is a line of energy from your first chakra, and you're just noticing it go all the way down to the center of the earth. And when you get that set up, that can happen fast, or that can happen, it can take a little bit of time. That's okay. Might be your first time doing this. But this is your grounding cord, your relationship with the earth. You're creating an extra sense of safety. And this is what I find is helpful, kind of something to learn at the very beginning of when you go to explore consciousness and different abilities that we all have. But once you're grounded to the center of the earth, just bring your attention back to the center of your head. And I'm sure there's times where you felt ungrounded in life, maybe a little clumsy, and there's times where you've been very grounded, very present. As you're in the center of your head, just notice that your body is grounded to the center of the earth. And just note that experience. Take a big deep breath in. Exhale. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes, come all the way out, stretch. Okay. So that was just a very brief, simple exercise with kind of playing with your attention and also getting your body grounded. These are some of the tools and techniques that we teach in our Adventure Tools series, and there's one coming up that my wife will be teaching. It starts February 10th, and you can check that out on our website at adventurewithin.co. And if you have any questions, you can email us. Our way to email us is through the front page or home page of our website. You can even set up a free meet and greet with Heather, so you can kind of meet her, and if you have any questions, ask her, and how to sign up and all that. So I hope this was informative or entertaining, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.